This video series has focused on the effects of media on mental health and self-image for different groups of people, including such things as age, race, and sexual and gender identities. Media has an undeniable impact on the way we see ourselves and the way we see other people. And I know everyone has probably uttered the phrase, well, I don't let that affect me. It's like, it's just a movie. It's just a commercial. But really, that's not the case. We are being affected, and we need to develop strategies as to how to recognize the messages that we are being sent, what they are, if they are harmful or not, and how to intervene with those. Luckily, one such strategy already exists, and it's called media literacy. Medialit.org defines media literacy as the ability to analyze, evaluate, and create media in a variety of forms. It helps us to question the representation of groups within the media and culture, to help critique and criticize media techniques, tropes, and stereotypes, and various other cliches, and analyzing the motives of the media and its creators. The primary method that it becomes effective is through education and practice. Just like learning to read or riding a bike, it does take time and it does take practice. As was talked about in the first video, the way media portrays gendered content, fashion, models, celebrities, sports, athletes, and politicians, can have a major effect on our body image, how we perceive our bodies to look, and how we evaluate them, and how these can lead to depression and anxiety, and especially various eating disorders. What we have to ask today is, where do we intervene, and where does this media literacy come in? Media literacy can show that these body types are often unattainable or unnatural representations created through editing software such as Photoshop. It says, why is the ideal model and the ideal body like it is, and ask what instead should we strive for. So, as an exercise, try and analyze the body types shown in the positions of models within advertisements, TV shows, and movies. It also needs to ask, why is mental health so difficult to talk about? It can be a very shameful experience to admit that you have a disorder along the lines of even depression or anxiety, especially when you have an eating disorder, because there is a lot more stigma surrounding that nowadays too. Try to think about it like this. If we can talk about our physical health, if I can talk about a broken leg or a stomach virus, why can't I talk about depression or an eating disorder? Using media literacy, we can see that this socialization, these messages begin to take effect in early childhood, and we can intervene through education about body types and gendered representation and racial representation in children's early years. We can recognize that teenagers and pre-teenage children are vulnerable points in their life with regard to messages, because they often do not realize what they are receiving and what the effects will be. Plus, they have all sorts of other things going on. They're going through puberty. Their bodies are changing. Their minds are changing as they grow older. So they may have awkward times, such as gym class. They might have braces, things like that. And to add on pressure to fit in through the media becomes a recipe for mental health problems, such as depression and anxiety. It's important to teach teenagers and children at these ages about media literacy, about how to analyze and to educate themselves as to what the messages that they are receiving. Young students can be taught about to analyze these images and look for relating themes. So older students can enhance these skills if they learn them when they're younger by looking for messages through image and text in the media. With regard to LGBT issues, we can see and examine the roles that are given to transgender people and how queer people are portrayed in the media. We can determine who is the intended audience for this media. Hint, it's usually straight, white, cisgender men that these things are being created for and by. And we can see when we can listen to LGBT people as to how these representations affect the community as a whole and in its individual parts. When we discuss race, we can use media literacy to help us analyze the media with the lens that acknowledges that race is a social construction. We can view the media and critique it when we see racial stereotypes. We can, on television, the news, and other things. As we are filming this, there is an emerging movement against Syrian refugees that are attempting to flee the horror and violence in their home nations. And 31 of the 50 US governors have said, no, we cannot accept these people. Whether or not they can do this is something up for debate. Turns out there's a law that was passed in 1980 that says that the executive branch of the federal government has this authority, so only Congress can really intervene or the Supreme Court. Fun note. It is very important to realize that even these strategies are not a cure-all. They're most effective when they're set up before the damage occurs. It is best as a preventative measure to prevent things like depression, anxiety, and eating disorders. It is a way to actively criticize the media and the culture in which it exists while becoming educated on all the aspects of it. And one last time, I want to encourage you, if you are experiencing any kind of depression or anxiety or eating disorder or any of the other mental health issues that we have talked about in our previous videos, and use one of the helplines that we have below in the description. So please do that and take care of yourselves. Thank you.